Welcome to Control, episode 30-ish. We're back in the Ocean View Hotel trying to sync up these clocks. 6:10. Let's go ahead and set this last clock to 6:10, and then we're leaving this place. So every time you enter the Ocean View Hotel, there's a slightly different challenge. They very rarely have anything to do with what's going on in the game world, but in this case they were kind enough to put this as a clock-centric theme. So at the very least it makes some sort of thematic connection. It's pretty rough, but it is at least there. And so, you know, not going to complain too hard this time. And off we go, into the clocks. So this is the clocks, and I love how the color grading has changed. Now, back in the beginning, I did talk a little bit about how this game uses color grading, and here you can see that they've got these very, very desaturated colors here. I believe that this is a post effect. I don't think that they went in and created desaturated textures and all that stuff. I just think that they're desaturating it via post effect to make it feel disconnected and dreamlike. Yeah, it works. It works well enough. Here you can see that there is a really, really bright symbol on the wall, and you might be thinking, oh, that's an interesting way to light the room. Well, the interesting thing is that they're not actually lighting the room with the symbol. There's an invisible light directly behind me, shining onto the wall, that doesn't actually exist. See? Interesting little choice on their part. I'm not going to say it was the wrong choice. It seems fine. We've got a lot of screaming going on, so we have to find the clocks. Now, I kind of talked over the dude.
Those must be the clocks he was talking about.
Yeah, I kind of talked over the dude who said that he had to get out because there were too many clocks. Yeah, when he's talking about too many clocks, this is not what he's talking about. We'll see too many clocks later. But it is worth looking at these clocks for a second. You can see how some of them can be highlighted and some of them can't be. That's because some of these are physics objects and some of them are part of a static mesh. The reason that's important is because these physics objects are really high poly. So, not really high poly, they're moderately high poly. So if we were to see how this physics object, it has like legs, it has decorations on the top and several different staggered tiers coming down, and the edges take up several different loop cuts. Well, on the static meshes, like this guy, you can see that there are no legs, there is no thing on the top, and all of the topology has been simplified into very nearly a cube. So this is a trick you can use quite frequently. If you have a high poly object and you want a million of them, you can't really use a high poly object in every case. So you know, turn it into a low poly object, use the low poly version as much as you need. But the player can't see the low poly version, or rather they can't be allowed to notice it. So you scatter in some high poly assets, just kind of on top of the low poly assets, so the player doesn't look too closely. And of course, it's highly unlikely that this is clocks all the way down. It's probably just a black surface. You can actually see it right here against this clock, cutting this clock face in half. There's just like a black surface underneath the clocks. So you're not needing to create all of the clocks. You can just go ahead and save yourself some polys. I think we got to fight some folks in here. Oh, that didn't work. Fights in the clocks are pretty nice. None of them are particularly challenging. They're all fairly easy and fun. Kinetic, because you can't really tell where the folks are going to come from, because the clocks is a little bit confusing to look at. But this is the first area in the clocks. It is a 2-story atrium. I almost hesitate to call this an atrium, given the scale of the atriums we see elsewhere. But it is one. It is definitely an atrium. We can see that there are a number of really nice elements here. This is one of my favorites when you take an area and you use it for another purpose in-game. So these people took an office area and they turned it into a military camp. So you see there's tarps everywhere and tents and all sorts of stuff. These folks didn't lay their tent out so great. They are opening their window straight out onto a giant light pole, and their exit seems to have ropes in front of it. So, well, poor them. Over here you can see another example of a conversion. This would have had cubicles in it, but they've converted it over into a mess hall. They've been very careful to remove anything that might hide a clock. So,
Shit.
here's the guy we're looking for. Unfortunately for us, we have to wait for him to give up on that dude before he'll talk to us. There we are. I like this guy.
Are you Wells?
He's
Your
basically
friend
the
asked
only
me to
hero
come
in
with
this
you.
game.
That must be Horowitz. Glad he got out. I stayed back to help the others. Did a shit job of it, clearly.
You tried. That's enough. Horowitz needs your help now. How do we get out of here?
We should head back through the thresh.
Which way?
Let's go.
So this guy is great. He's one of my favorite characters, and I need to really kind of highlight the fact that you don't have any discussions with him about the nature of the universe or the strange things in your heads or any of that. You can get a tremendous amount of personality out of people just by having them talk to each other in ways that that make sense as humans. And he tried to help people and it didn't work out, and we're here now, and that works really well. I don't need it supported by a complex thing going on with clocks. Don't need to worry
What's
about
with the
that.
clocks?
Threshold effect. This used to be a regular office wing before the threshold manifested. The forces at play in there got a hold of someone's old clock and started duplicating it. Now the office is abandoned and it's clocks all the way down.
Was she one of the actresses in House? I think she was. Well, this is clearly much better than House. In case you didn't know, I'm joking. I'm not exactly joking. It's just that I am not a big fan of TV shows. Got some enemies to fight. That one over there in particular is obnoxious. So, finish him off nice and quick. The good news is we've got a dude helping us out. This guy may be a medic, but he's clearly good at his other job as well, because I don't think he can die, which makes him the only soldier who shares my cheat codes.
Think you can find a way around?
I sure can.
Let me see.
I'm just kind of scanning to see if there's any loot on the way, because I don't want to miss anything too much. We are coming back here. So when I said that, that wasn't the clocks they were talking about, this is more in line with the idea of a lot of clocks. This is something that, to people who have been, doing SCP-related stuff and reading SCP fan art and all that stuff, you've got a very common sort of idea, it just duplicates forever. Ooh. And obviously, the more experienced, the more things you see, the more inured you become to basic ideas like that.
So you came down here
But seeing it in game form, in a reality, really hammers home just how interesting that concept can be.
I've never seen anything like it.
It has this wonderful combination of why and how, and it's like unknowable in the most silly way, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, so this really hammers home what unknowable means. It makes no sense, but it seems like it must make sense. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this hallway. I love this hallway. This is a multi-layered hall, and it really shouts maintenance. There's a lot of things about it that work just phenomenally well. One, of course, is that we're walking on these grates, which don't extend across the entire hallway. That leaves us with gaps to either side, which can be filled with empty space and with pipes. But it also makes sure that we understand that we're walking through an area that has other purposes. For example, those layered pipes down below. I think this is a really, really great maintenance hall, and it's what I would show as like the example of if you're trying to figure out where you want to start with a maintenance hall, this is where you should start. It's beautiful. It's also got this beautiful drop-off, which we'll drop off in a second here. But because these grates beneath our feet are grates, and you can see through them, we can pull off some cool stunts with allowing the player to look down into lit places. All right, moving right along.
That's O'Neill. Shit.
Oh, this is a really interesting light source because it doesn't make any visual sense. You can see how they've got this really wonderful crisp streak running across the floor and across the wall. But there's no way that light could enter at that angle given what we can see up there. And this is just one of those signs that there is literally a light plane. You can actually see the edge of it if you're careful and look hard. There's just a light plane filling this space, and we can see through it from this side. Yeah, you can see it real clearly from here. See that? That little crisp edge there? That's the edge of the light plane. That's something you can do in Unreal and in Unity and all those kinds of places as well. So you don't have to have like an actual light bounce, a realistic light bounce through a physical object. You don't have to. No reason to worry about it. Oh, I hate these guys. I'm taking care of them really aggressively because they are the worst. Got some enemies floating around up here. I think I should go upstairs. Ooh, there's loot over here though. Loot! There's upstairs. Ah, there it is. Oh no, not more chairs. Oh, this guy's a boss. I didn't realize that. Good news, I am cheating. Sorry I keep bringing that up, but it's kind of important. Oh, hello boss. I didn't expect to be able to grab you yet. Now we have to go upstairs, finish off the last couple of dudes, and then we will be able to move forward. Oh, there's more chair guys. I don't like chair guys. Boy, I would be screwed if I wasn't cheating. Well, I would also be taking things a lot more carefully. Alright. There we are. So, now we are down here in the clocks proper. This is where all the clocks really start. And I love this idea quite a bit because it offers so much freedom in terms of how you're going to lay your level out. Normally you're pretty strongly constrained by the physical layout of the building that you put together. But they've been relying on, 2-3-story buildings with overlooks. And now they can just say, well, the clocks actually reach up to those overlooks and soften them. Look how high these clocks go. We can probably jump up. There's no longer like an upper floor and a lower floor. There's like a half floor filled with clocks. It's a really wonderful way to do things. I think it would only really work once per game, but it's certainly worth doing. It's really a fantastic visual. I kind of wish they found a way to punch it up even more, make us pay attention to it even more, but even as it is, it's still pretty nice. I like it. I can now just have to figure out a way forward. I can't remember what floor forward is on. Is that it? That's it over there. Oh, back there is a, there might be 2 rooms back. That's where the anchor is. We can't get it yet because we need the hover ability. Who do you think you're fooling? Anyway, here you can see what I'm really talking about. This thing goes up 2 floors. See that? Softens the entire stairwell. I think it works great. It's a fantastic visual. Here you can see a pile of physics clocks. This is super expensive, but very cool. I like it.
Horowitz ordered a retreat. We got out, but Hiss were waiting for us. I took Horowitz to the motel court and went back for the others.
No clocks in the
That
bathroom.
was brave of you.
I need you to move.
I'm the medic. It's my job.
Well, medic, I hope you're with me because I like it quite a bit and I don't want you to die. I wish you joined my team because you're the only hero in here. Just a save point. I think it's kind of a strange place to put a save point, but okay.
We're not far now.
We've already been going for 15 minutes, but he's right, we're not far now. It's just out this way. These aren't even really a fight. We're just gonna finish them off nice and quick and move on. We'll try and push through the clock's entirety to just today. You can see how there are other rooms here, and this was very confusing to me because NYC subway, that's not good. I had thought the clocks were contained. They are not. They're just kind of arbitrarily connected up to the rest of the base in a way that doesn't really make much sense. I love this visual. It's clearly something that we can't access, but that kind of complex depth really adds a lot, I say. I also like this hallway. So this hallway is a classic... There we are. This hallway is a classic Alien-style hallway. There are 4 different kinds of pipes running along this hallway, and then there's also decorations to break up the fact that they're running along the hallway. And I think that it works really well, especially in conjunction with one very smoky light down at the far end. This is a hallway that I would hold up as an example of how to do a dark and misty hallway. It doesn't require a lot of complexity. It just requires you to understand the sort of impression that you're going to leave the player with. And here we've got another super bright light. Well, that's fine. And off we go, around and 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 around. And out. I think that there's nothing back there. There is. So the clocks just go straight back out into the room that we started in. There's not really a boss to fight or any kind of denouement. So I'm going to stop pretty soon here, but I did want to show you this. This is built with the same kind of ideas as the maintenance hallway we saw earlier, the transparent grid that looks down, but it doesn't have quite the same impact because the depth is too much and too empty. So this is the sort of thing that's a little bit challenging to get it to really leave the perfect impression. Also, I don't like these orange boxes. They're not nearly as good as the green boxes. Oh well. Here we are. Back out in this this zone. All we're going to do is go back over to the other side where we already were and shoot Horowitz in the face a couple of times. You don't have to be around for that. Nobody cares. So I'm going to stop this episode here, and in the next episode I will see you after that, after the death of Horowitz.